Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha. Shri Arunachaleshwaraya Namaha. Om Sahana Vavatu. Sahanau Bhunaktu. Sahavedyangkaravavahe. Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Arunachala Shiva. Arunachala Shiva. Arunachala Shiva. Arunachala. Arunachala Shiva. Arunachala Shiva. Arunachala Shiva. Arunachala. Okay. We are continuing our discussion on Nishta with the help of the text Upadesha Undiyar, which was blessed by Ramana Maharshi. It was a blessing that came from Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi of Trivandrum. Okay. In the last class, I made a mistake. I jumped from the first stanza to the third stanza. I skipped the second stanza. The first stanza is Karmam Payantaral Kartanadu Aanayal Karmam Kadavulo Undipara Karmam Jadamadal Undipara. The karma gives the result because it is being ordained by a supreme intelligence. It is backed by a supreme intelligence. Is karma, the principle of karma, the law of karma, that alone is the ultimate? No, because it is only a mechanism. It is a jada. Jada means it is inert. It does not have its own intelligence. It is not an intelligent thing. It is only a mechanism. Karmam Kadavulo, is it the ultimate principle? No, it is not the ultimate principle. It works as directed by the ultimate principle. So he shows the limitation of karma, the principle of karma itself, in the first stanza. In the second stanza, which I missed, what happens? Bhagavan says, what happens if you are stuck only in the way of karma, which means action and result of action. If you are only behind limited results that are attained by the effort that we put in after a certain period of time, whatever you may achieve with effort, it will only bind you more and more in the cycle of action and result of action, in the cycle of compulsive action and attachment to the result of action. Like how they say in psychology, need, drive, goal cycle. No? So here he is coming to the Vyashti, or the individual's aspect of karma. First, he is talking about the cosmic aspect of karma. The result of karma, result of our actions, material and spiritual, are obtained not simply by the power of karma alone. It is only because the power of karma is backed by a supreme intelligence, the divine intelligence, that is Ishvara. And within a person, if a person is dependent on only action oriented things and for limited results that are obtained by effort, one only gets more and more stuck in this realm of struggle, the realm of effort and result of attachment to result of action. It will not give liberation. So liberation is something that is not a result of action. That is being said in the second stanza, which I missed in the last class. So the second stanza goes like this. வினையின் விளைவு விழிவுற்று வித்தாய் வினை கடல் வீழ்த்திடும் முந்தி பர வீடு தரல் இலை உந்தி பர. They sing, this is a song, so they sing like this. வினையின் விளைவு விழிவுற்று வித்தாய் வினைக்கடல் வீழ்த்திடும் உந்தி பர வீடு தரல் இலை உந்தி பர. Like that they sing. There is even a YouTube video how they sing it traditionally. It's nice. Folk style. So, வினையின் விளைவு, the consequence of actions. விழிவுற்று வித்தாய், after having run its course, given its results according to the various factors, the result may be expected or unexpected, but an action has a result, right? So after the result, after it gives the result, it does not leave you just like that. Vittai, in a seed form, it stays inside you. Means what? It produces a vasana. It leaves a samskara, like they tell for a Pavlovian conditioning, they say, no? In psychology, operant conditioning, Pavlovian conditioning, all that they say in psychology. The conditioning. Every day you give food for a street dog. You throw some biscuits or whatever. And before giving the food, you make a noise, like, you ring a bell or something. And then the dog comes to see who it is. It identifies you with your smell, with the bell and sound and everything. And then you give the food. The next day, when your smell reaches the dog, or when the sound of your bell reaches, immediately the dog will start salivating. Why? Because the samskara, seeing the biscuit, the dog should salivate. Now, thinking about the biscuit itself, the dog will salivate. Because the sound of your bicycle or whatever is generating the memory of the bhoga, memory of the experience before, the satisfying experience. And because of that, it gets excited, right? So, in the same way, for humans also, wherever there is attachment to the result of action, wherever there is ownership over the result of action, and also ownership over the doership. Doership means I am doing this. They ask you, who are you? You say, I am a programmer, I am a teacher, I am a sports person, I am an artist, I am a manager, etc. Right? So I am so and so. So you are identified with what you do. It's one step worse than the dog, because for the dog it is only a simple bhoga without ego. Now man has two problems. One is the bhoga, the enjoyment, or the enjoyment suffering, both. When I say enjoyment, experience, being an experiencer of an experience. Every experience is a result of action, either in this life or past life. Some action, known action, unknown action. Whatever experience you have is the result of a known or an unknown action in the past. So, me as the experiencer plus my identity, my ego, that connects me, that creates an identity out of it, and hijacks my sense of I. It is not simply like a slip. It puts me more into what we call as vikshepa. So there are two kinds of seeds that are created. One is the vasana, or the tendency that pushes me to action. After I do something and I accomplish a result, both success and failure, it leaves an impression in the chitta and in the buddhi. In the chitta, it is simply a strong tendency and a compulsion. And in the buddhi, it's an identity that is generated out of that sense of doership and experiencership. I succeeded in my life. I did this. I am a successful person. Right? The self concept. So the sense of self concept gets hijacked by one more circuit. So these two kind of impressions are there. Identity based impression, which is in the buddhi, and which is covering up the self knowledge by one more layer, and the tendency to push myself into action, and the desire for the result as a vasana inside the bhoga vasana, and that which pushes me into action. It is something like this: you wake up from sleep, suddenly some thought comes and makes you check your phone, or wants you to go and do something. If you are exercise freak, you wake up and then you say, either you are drinking water or doing some push-ups, or if you are a normal person of these days, you check your phone, or if you are a very religious person, you look at your hand, chant some mantras, you pray to the mother earth and think of your deity. Something, whatever you are used to, is a karma. So the moment you wake up, this idea of what I must do, a sense of doership awakens. Where does it come from? Comes from previous impression, right? So that suggestion that comes from the back of your system, the suggestion that comes from your heart, from the chitta, which you relate to based on your identity that you have created in relationship with that action. You have a pravritti or a nivritti. Pravritti means you want to do it. Nivritti means you don't want to do it. Suppose some tendency from inside that is not ethically correct according to you comes up from inside. It wants you to do something. Then your ethical sense, your sense of self as an ethical person stops you from doing it. You say, no, no, I will not do. No, they say in Freudian psychology, eat ego, super ego. So the instinct tells you to do something, and then you analyze based on your principles, conscience, and then you decide whether to do it or not do it. Pravritti, nivritti. The prefrontal cortex decides, right? So both pravritti and nivritti both are considered binding action. To do is karma. To not do is also karma. I am discussing the seed of karma, action and result of action, how it leaves its seed. Vilivutru vittai. And in the seed form, it will push you into the ocean of samsara. Vinay Kadal means in the sea of action. What they call as samsara sagara, the ocean of samsara, is nothing but action and result of action and attachment to the result of action, an identity that has been created based on you as the doer and the enjoyer. This is all samsara is. From in all the 14 lokas, starting from the downmost to hell to the uppermost to heaven, whatever is discussed in the scripture, plus this common sense, normal everyday world that we see, the bhuloka, everything comes under the definition of samsara sagara. Brahmadi stamba paryantam, they say in Sanskrit. From the creator deity Brahma up to the smallest twig that you see, a little plant and a little small blade of grass that you see, this entire spectrum is samsara. So Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi here says, basically on behalf of Lord Shiva, because the context is Lord Shiva giving the Upadesha, the teaching to the rishis of Tarukavana. The Taruka forest rishis, the seers of the forest, Taruka forest, are receiving teaching from Lord Shiva. Why are they receiving the teaching from Lord Shiva? They thought being very successful people and genius sorcerers and very intelligent people who have accomplished a lot, both materially and spiritually, by the power of their mantras and the power of their discipline and everything, and the knowledge of the Vedas and everything. They think they can achieve everything they want, they can attain the ultimate happiness just by doing one more ritual, just by doing one more practice, just by doing one more prayoga, just by doing a little bit more. All we need is a little bit more sorcery to ensure that I will have permanent happiness. No, because Upanishad says कर्मणा न प्रजया धनेन त्यागेनैके अमृतत्वमानसुः. Not by action, not by the progeny, means your future generations doing pitru karma and all the rituals for you. Na prajaya dhanena, not by money, not by bribing a priest. Again, not by any of this, not by all the names and fame, you will get amritatvam, means eternal life, deathlessness. You will get that eternal life or deathlessness, or freedom from birth and death. You will not get by this, any of this. Tyage naike, only by renunciation, only by giving up. What to give up, we will see in the coming classes. Only by renunciation, amritatvam is attained, eternity is attained. In another context, it says, Nanya pantha vidyate ayanaya. There is no other way for that but this. This is the only way for eternity. What? Renunciation that is accompanied by knowledge, self-knowledge. Self-knowledge alone. Self-knowledge and renunciation are used synonymously in various contexts and complementary in various contexts. Okay. So, here, in the seed form, your addiction to action as the means for obtaining everything is only putting you more and more into that sea of samsara. It is only making you more and more stuck in the sea of samsara. Don't think that you can do one more magic. This magic includes everything. It includes yoga also. Don't think by doing some kundalini yoga, by doing some kriya yoga, some Babaji may be living for 2000 years in some Himalayan cave. But by the end of this kalpa, that Babaji will experience death unless he is enlightened. So what you can achieve by all that is a different kind of a prakriti, which is good. I'm not telling it is bad, but do not mistake the results of yogic practice to be liberation. Yogic practice cannot give liberation. Why I am telling this here? Because what Lord Shiva told the seers of that forest, you will not get liberation by all your Vedic karma. Veda will not liberate you. Only the knowledge in the Veda, which is Vedanta, will liberate you. Vinaikadal vilthidum undi para, veedu taral ilai undi para. It will not give you, it will not take you home. No, this Tamil word, veedu, has two meanings. One, veedu in common parlance, it means home. Veedu means, hey, வீட்டுக்கு போயிட்டியா, எங்க போற, வீட்டுக்கு போறேன். Where are you going? I'm going to my வீடு, home. Veedu, home, going back from where you came from, going home. Veedu also means vidu, that you attain after you leave everything. So this Tamil word veedu, veedu peru, means the blessing of liberation. So liberation, the Tamil word is veedu peru or veedu. Veedu taral ilai. It will not give you veedu. It will not give you liberation. Action will not take you home. It will only make you more and more stuck in the sea of samsara. You will only go into the realm of struggle, newer and newer kind of struggles, but you will not get liberated. Now, Here is something that we need to understand about the teaching methodology. Starting from the Lord Shiva, who is the beginner of this tradition, the teaching always begins by pointing out the limitations in our thinking. I am already habituated to do things in a certain way. I am already habituated to think in a certain way. That is not helping me. That is exactly why I am in front of the teacher, and the teacher is guiding me to change my thinking, to change my self concept, to change my worldview, and to change my to free me from my habit patterns. The teacher is facilitating in me a clarity for me to see the limitations of whatever I am used to. The teacher is helping me to see the limitation. The teacher is facilitating my mind waking up to its own error. The job of the teaching is to make me wake up to my own error. That is the job of the teaching. That is possible only when I completely surrender my ego in front of the teaching. Only then the teaching will allow me to work. That is why the tradition always says, Asishyaya nadeyam. Do not give this knowledge to one who is not a disciple. Why? It is useless. The person will not listen. The person will take what is comfortable and what is not comfortable and leave what is not comfortable. So the teaching is not here to pamper your ego, but to hold the ego by your neck and suffocate until you realize this is not okay, until you want the solution. Right? So it can be done in a nice way, it can be done in a tough way, but it has to be done. Some teachers do it in a nice way, some teachers do it in a tough way. So it's all about the methodology of teaching, it's all about the psychology between the teacher and the student. But ultimately, me as a student, my comfort zone has to be challenged at some point or the other. My entire thinking and my self concept will be completely destroyed and I will be reconstructed in knowledge. This is the only way, and this is the way of the knowledge. This is the way of teaching, because my entire personality is based on ignorance of what I am and taking myself to be what I am not. What I think about myself, I am not that. This is the basis of ignorance, is the basis of my entire individuality. So my entire individuality with all its paraphernalia is being challenged by the teaching. This is exactly why surrender is required. The rishis saw their limitation. They saw that their sorcery against this great and great luminous being in front of them, their sorcery is not working. This guy is swallowing everything they send. Then they see there is some, this fellow is bigger than us, something higher is working here. There is something higher, a higher principle than what we know is working here. So let us go and surrender. And then they go and surrender and ask for the teaching. So they showed the readiness to learn, and only then the teaching happens. If you see in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna surrenders. Shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapannam. I take me as your student. Oh Lord, I am surrendering to you. I don't know what to do anymore. I am surrendering to you. Please take me as a student. Show me what is Shreyas. Tell me what is the ultimate good for me. Second chapter. And then the teaching begins. 11th shloka from second chapter, the teaching begins. Every Upanishad, the student goes. Chandogya Upanishad, the student sees, something I don't know here. What is this? Then he sees, oh, my knowledge is not enough. I may be the best student, but still I have not got it. So says, Master, please teach me. I don't know. So every context, either if the student is too stuck in his or her ways, the teacher gives a gentle prompting. Hey, have you looked at that angle? And then if the student is intelligent enough and qualified enough and pure enough in the heart, the student suddenly realizes, oh, this is the limitation. I have not looked into it. So please tell me, what is it? Opens up to the teaching and opens up to his or her own limitation in the thinking and the error. In other context, the life teaches the person, and the person arrives at the clarity that what I know is not enough. I need to know more. There is something. So let me know what is it. And then goes to the teacher and surrenders and asks for the teaching. Right? Everywhere, you see, it is the same thing. So the most important thing here is khandana and mandana. It is very, very important. This is the beginning of the teaching. The beginning of the teaching is to challenge your old thinking, challenge your old ways of thinking, to challenge your worldview, to challenge at the core of your value system that you have created if it is not in line with the truth. So the entire personality, the entire foundation of your individuality is being shaken up here. So hopefully in a nice way that is not too painful. Okay. But if it is painful, I can tell the teacher, see, can you do it in a more gentle way for me to handle? That is okay. But you cannot leave the context simply because the teaching is uncomfortable. I cannot leave the context. I can express my discomfort, and then teacher may, if I give the right feedback and I have the right attitude to cooperate and participate, the teacher might tone down a little bit and make it slightly easier, make it more breathable. Can give me a small break and then I continue. Yes, but it is important to surrender to the teaching, surrender to the content of the teaching, and to stick to the context, stick to the learning context. Do not leave it and go because it challenges. Stick to the learning context, cooperate with the teacher. You can give feedback to the teacher. Do not question the fundamentals of teaching. You may always discuss your difficulties. So when I don't understand, I give my benefit of doubt to the teaching. I give my benefit of doubt to the teacher. I don't question the intentions. I don't question the fundamentals that are from the teaching because I have not understood that yet. I can express my difficulty. I can express my inability. I can ask questions to clarify my head, right? To make it easier for me to grow out of my habit patterns. To make it easier for me to leave my grip on my old ways of thinking. To make it easier for me to open up to the truth. All that is okay, but everything is within the pillars of Shraddha. I, Shraddha and patience. I have, I have, I am ready. I have surrendered to the context. I am patient and I am disciplined, and I am disciplined enough to stick to the context, not leave. I am brave enough to face the challenge, face my deepest emotions and values and thinking and self-concept being challenged by the teaching. No, I am all that I am familiar with is being dismissed one by one. So I am ready to go through the process. I am daring to go through the process. Tadeva nirbhayam brahma means dhiraha paripashyanti dhiraha. Like that, it comes in many contexts. The brave ones, they see the truth. So courage is very important. Dutch courage, or some normal worldly level courage where you go and punch a person is very easy. The courage to face one's own limitations in one's own thinking, the courage to face one's own ego getting dismantled is huge. All that you knew you were okay with, you are comfortable with, all that you knew was supporting you, everything is being taken away. Especially when you are very emotionally invested in an ideology, when you are very emotionally invested in some kind of a belief system. There are people, for example, who are devotees of some saint or some guy who calls himself avatar or whatever. You have all these spiritual godmen around in every tradition. There are the ones who are slightly on the fringes of the tradition. who are abusing the faith of the people to command a certain things. In some cases are cooked up, in some cases it is they are a genuine fraud, whatever. So I have seen many people who are devotees of this person or that person. When their when their spiritual icon image is challenged, they are not able to face it. Some people completely lose their, lose their faith in everything spiritual. They start falling back into their all the addictions and everything that have been controlled, and they're sitting on top of it. Now they put a lid on all of that, and they've been sitting on with artificial control, suddenly go into all kinds of unethical and immoral ways, and get into all kinds of addictions and bad habits. This is one crowd, become very materialistic. That is one crowd. Another crowd, they cheat themselves. They tell lies to themselves, and they try to find a comfort zone within their faith structure. For example, I will tell you, somebody from a Christian background, a monotheistic background, okay, not just Christian, Muslim, Jew, whatever. When they come to Vedanta, yoga, and everything, they will make Jesus into a guru. They will say, "Oh, Jesus must have been a guru. He must have been a siddha. He must have been a great yogi." So when they read these books by Yogananda and everything, so these people like Yogananda, they played into this psychology. Either they did it consciously or they themselves were misled. I don't know. But from this, I am just using it as an example. Whether Jesus was yogi or not, whether Jesus was there or not, I don't care, and it's not important for our discussion. What is important is the psychology. Oh, somehow, they cannot let go of it. Somehow they have to justify this divine personality that they have been holding on to emotionally, and then they will create a story around it that will fit into the framework of yoga or Vedanta, whatever they are studying. They will say, "Oh, the church hid the truth." All, the original teaching was already there. Buddha has already taught the truth, but later Buddhism twisted it. Nobody knows what Buddha taught. Nobody knows what Jesus taught. And the other guy, I will not talk about them because it is in YouTube. They will kill me. So whatever it is, we try to invent. They will say all the prophets and all the avatars and all of them are like avatars. All of these masters all over the world taught the same truth. All these kind of things are psychological games where we are trying to make ourselves comfortable and lying to ourselves in order to make ourselves comfortable, to tolerate the impact of the truth. We are cushioning the impact of the truth to make ourselves comfortable. When something is very unfamiliar, we don't know what to do. That is why I respect atheists a lot more than people who are stuck in faith systems. The illogical, non-verifiable belief systems people are stuck with, and they're trying to create some comfort zone around it. Instead of that, I always respect an atheist more, because the first thing the atheist does, a good atheist. I'm not talking about there are people in South India and in India, the leftists, they call themselves atheists. They are you know I would say they are the scum of the realm of atheists. They are a shame for the word atheist. They are not. They are just hypocrites trying to make some quick buck. But I'm talking about real deep core atheists like Christopher Hitchens and all that. So people like that, the first thing they do is they make themselves comfortable with the uncertain. This is uncertain. I will never know. I have to make myself comfortable with it so that I will not succumb to a false truth. I will try to know. I will use the tools in my hand. So there is a genuine effort there, and they are okay with not knowing. I said, I don't know. We will see. Maybe someday science will find out. They will say, science will not find out, but at least their approach is better than this monotheist, this faith story, self-deceiving faith story people. they're at least brave. So one fine morning, their bravery, that gives a certain honesty and authenticity in your intellect that will open you to the truth. God's grace will come at some point. Like somebody told Christopher Hitchens, all your life you talked against God, and that's why you're dying of cancer. And he said, bullshit. I am dying of cancer because I was a chain smoker. God has nothing to do with it. Even if God had something to do with it, I don't care. He knows cancer is the result of smoking. He was a smoker. He got cancer. Why are you bringing God into this? God is not a reason or an explanation needed for this situation. Till the last breath, this guy is dying on the bed out of cancer. No regrets, no fake, out of your fear of death, creating some fake concepts. There are people in the last leg of their life, they're afraid of death. They will start suddenly becoming religious overnight. So this kind of nonsense they don't do. Like we had one so-called father of atheism in South India. That guy had a Ganesha temple in his house. All his life he was a fraud and he died out of guilt. And he married his own daughter. It's a complete mess. So these guys are not like that. They're very focused on human values and very authentic. Atheism means I don't believe. I don't believe. I am here to investigate. If my investigation doesn't give me, it doesn't give me, and I'm comfortable with not knowing. That authenticity in investigation. Yeah. So that is required if you want to come to Vedanta. When my comfort zone is challenged, I do not try to create fake stories to give me emotional comfort. It's okay for some time, but at some point, I will have to grow out of it. I will give you a Hindu example. Swamiji told me this example. He met a very senior monk, a Swami, a guru, who was very learned, probably enlightened. Why I'm saying probably enlightened? Because we never know whether the person is enlightened. We only know if the person is learned in the scriptures. Person is very learned in the scriptures, very committed to the monk lifestyle, very sattvic. So we say probably he was enlightened because he was oozing out clarity on so many fronts. So he was having his deities for worship. So there is this devotional cult in India called Radha Krishna. Right? So the learned people say there is not enough scriptural evidence for this Radha Krishna thing. The traditional thing is Rukmini Satyabhama Bhyam Sahitam Krishnamashriya. Rukmini and Satyabhama, they were the consorts, wives of Lord Krishna. This Radha thing is a later story, something that comes and got blown out of proportion to create some kind of romantic spiritual cult in the eastern India. This is what the learned people say. Okay, so there is a debate about it, but in the learned circle, it is considered as a pop-up devotional cult which has no scriptural basis. It's just a cult. Okay, so this person was very devoted into that Radha Krishna cult before becoming a monk and before studying Vedanta. So this my friend Swamiji, he went and asked him, Swamiji, you are all learned and you're well learned in the scriptures. I'm sure you know that there is no pramana, means there is no evidence in all the scriptures about this Radha Krishna thing. So why are you still having this Radha Krishna thing? Then the person said, that is true, there is no pramana. It is just a thing. It is just a habit. I was very emotionally involved in that. I am not able to let go of it. It just carries on because of my emotional attachment to it. And once you are deeply into it, it just continues with you. I don't want to. I have the clarity in me, but I don't want to challenge. There are thousands of people who are devoted, so I don't want to create too much disturbance by disturbing the faith of the common people. So I'm just letting it be. But I understand that I am emotionally attached to it. I'm not able to let go. It is just an emotional habit from the past that is still sticking on. And I am aware that there is no scriptural sanction for Radha and Krishna. That Swami, that elderly Swami told this person. This person was sharing it with me. So he was telling how the emotional investment in early life affects one in the later life. Even when attains maturity, you are not able to let go of certain things. That's okay. But at least I recognize my limitation. I don't create a fake story around my emotional attachment. If there is an emotional attachment, I see it as an emotional attachment, then there is some hope sometime in future. But if I create a fake story, then I am intellectually stuck and I will not get liberated. So, when the teaching does this, here Lord Shiva is showing the limitation of karma and result of karma, both at the cosmic level, psychic level, and in the psychological level. And then once the disciple sees, once the rishis see that, oh, this is not the solution, then they are ready to look at the solution that is being offered. So then how do I come out of it? Then comes the next shloka, which I introduced in the last class. That talks about the concept of karma yoga. Karmam payantaral kartanade aanayal karmam kadavulo undi karmam jadamadal undi limitation of karma at the cosmic scale. வினையின் விளைவு விளைவுற்று வித்தாய் வினைக்கடல் வீழ்த்திடும் உந்தி வீடு தரல் இலை உந்தி the limitation of being stuck in karma and how it psychologically and psychically limits you and pushes you into the realm of samsara, the sea of samsara. It keeps you stuck in the realm of struggle. Kartanak, now comes the solution. Kartanakku ஆக்கும் நிஷ்காமிய கர்மம் கருத்தை திருத்திய துந்தி கதிவழி காண்பிக்கும் உந்தி So how to de-addict you from this addiction to karma and result of karma? How to de-addict you from this addiction to action-oriented, result-oriented action, this binding action? How to de-addict the mind? How to liberate yourself psychically from this bondage to action? Says, that's why I introduced the concept of the functional definition of God. Kartanakku aakum nishkamya karmam. Kartan here means the supreme being seen as the cause of the world, Ishvara. In English, you may use the word God connected to this proper understanding according to Vedanta. God as understood in the framework of Vedanta, Ishvara. I offer all my actions as an act of worship, and the results of actions I receive them as prasada. So I dedicate my actions and results of action to God. When I do that, something happens in my heart. Karuttai Tiruthi, it corrects my attitude towards action. Why is this required? Because one cannot be free of action itself. Practically speaking, as long as the body is alive, so long there will be some activity or the other, either scriptural or non-scriptural, spiritual or material, religious or secular, some kind of action will be there. So, to stay alive, activity is inescapable. But how do I relate to the action? So I correct my attitude towards action. I correct my attitude towards the result of action. This changing the attitude towards action and result of action is the essence of karma yoga. This change of attitude is called yoga buddhi. That's what Lord Krishna means in Bhagavad Gita. Yogastha kuru karmani. Whatever action you are doing, the right action, be established in the attitude of yoga and perform the action. Which is what is yoga buddhi? It's called Ishwararpita buddhi and prasada buddhi. Ishwararpita buddhi means the attitude of performing an action as offering to Ishvara. Dedicating the results of my action to Ishvara and not claiming the credit for the results of action. This is Nishkamya karma. Now, this Nishkamya karma is the final mature level of karma yoga. In karma yoga, there are various levels. There is sakamya karma yoga, and then comes nishkamya karma yoga. In sakamya karma yoga also, there are two levels. And then there is a karma yoga, which is a result of understanding of the self, as a result of understanding of the self. So there are various levels. So first, nishkamya karma means, can be understood in two ways. The choice over action, what I am doing, what I am supposed to do, what I would like to do, what I am not supposed to do, but I like to do. So what I like to do comes under two categories. I like to do this, but I am not supposed to do this. Then another category, I like to do this, I am allowed to do this. Ethically, it is okay to do this, and I like to do this, but I am not bound to do this. That means it is not essential, it is not my duty, it is not compulsory, it is optional, simply for the sake of my pleasure. I do it for my pleasure, and I am allowed to do it. I do it for my ambitions, I am allowed to do it. Then another one, I do it for my ambitions or my pleasure, and I am not allowed to do it. You can think of various examples. Preferred action, action based on my likes and dislikes. Unethical, actions that are based on my likes and dislikes. Ethical, this is one category. Then another, actions that I am supposed to do, my duties. If I don't do, it leaves me with a sense of discomfort or ethical discomfort or kind of a guilt, of a sense of omission, or a sense of omission. Oh, I have not done what I am supposed to do. It's like a bunch of vessels in the kitchen sitting overnight, not washed. Then early morning, I look at it. I am supposed to have done this last night. I didn't do. Suddenly on Sunday, you realize there is a mountain of clothes unwashed. Every day you look at it. I should wash, but you're lazy. You want to look at your phone or you want to watch TV, and it is piling up. These are all everyday small things, right? Uh, Somebody is in a relationship, and then suddenly the woman gets pregnant. This fellow leaves her and runs away. Then this guilt haunts him all the life. He's a good man. He's a psycho. I don't know. We are not talking about psychos here. We're talking about normal, healthy, good people, right? So whose amygdala, hypothalamus is all working properly. We're talking about. So, and we are not talking about mad people, mentally ill people. We are talking about reasonable, mentally okay people whose ethical sense is not lost. Right? So this is called duty. Now, scripturally, in the Vedic way of life, a person who is in the priest class, who is well read in Vedas, a Brahmana, a Brahmin, who is devoted to the life that is completely ordained by the Veda, study of the Veda, preservation of the Veda, preserving the karmas that are given in the Veda, doing the karmas for oneself and for others and for the welfare of the world. All this, for that person, in the Veda, there is kamya karma, various ritualistic practices that will get you stuff that you like. I want a kid, there is a prayer for I want a kid. I want to get rid of fever, there is a Mrityunjaya mantra to get rid of fever. Or like that, we have various, it's called kamya karma. That is why in sadhana panchakam we saw kamye matistyajyatam. Ishkamya karma, what is being told here, is the same as kamye matistyajyatam. Give up your kamya karma. So wherever we go in the teaching, the first step in Vedanta is to prepare you, and in a way that the world of karma doesn't have a grip on your mind. Your intellect and your attitude is free from addiction to action and result of action. So the worst kind of addiction is driven by the preference for the results. I want this, I don't want this. So the result alone will decide what I will do. When that habit, where my decision making on what I must do now, what is the right thing for me to do, is always decided by what I will get out of it. This one will give me the right result. This one will give me the faster result, a better result. A classical example I will tell you for our, when we are translating this Vaidika Dharma, this Vedic way of life, when we are translating it to our everyday secular life, we can understand it like this. There are duties, like I mentioned, about things I know I am supposed to do. Then there are things that are not against my soul. For example, having a career totally driven only by money. That is one big problem that everybody has. It is a result of the whole society being adharmic. That even women and children are pushed to work and do things that they are not supposed to do. Not supposed to do in the sense they are not. The system is not cut out for it. It leaves a lot of damage in them, psychological damage, physiological damage. And because of that, the struggle aspect of life is more. It's not nice. They regret it in later in life, and then it's too late. Things like this. Dharma helps a person grow and flower in life, so that you are available for finer things of life. You are available for deeper philosophies. You are made available to live life in a deep and meaningful way. That is the job of dharma. If your life is according to dharma, you will be able to live deeply and meaningfully and harmoniously. You will feel depth, meaning, and harmony in your heart and around you. Whether or not you are rich or not, it does not matter. Okay, you may be rich, you may not be rich, you may be poor, you may be hyper rich. It doesn't matter for this purpose. For the purpose of dharma, it doesn't matter. It is good to be rich, but based on the prarabdha, a person may be or may not be rich. So money is important. A person needs wealth, but can wealth alone decide my way of life? Can the wealth alone decide my dharma? No. Then the result is deciding your action. Like Arjuna in the Mahabharata war, he said, "Oh, I don't want to kill my uncle and my cousin brothers, and killing them for the sake of dharma or whatever." He forgot about dharma. He's only seeing, this is my uncle, this is my cousin, that's my teacher, but they are all in the bad guy's side. They are all against dharma. The duty, my duty as a warrior and as a king, is to establish dharma for the sake of the society. All that he forgot. He only saw, this is my cousin, this is my teacher, this is my uncles and granduncles. I don't want to kill all of them. Whatever kingdom I will win in the end, I am not going to be able to enjoy it. I will be full of guilt and remorse, so I don't want this war. I don't need the kingdom that I will get out of this. So he completely lost track of why he is in the battlefield. His fear of sorrow, emotional difficulty, and his delusion born out of attachment to the personal relations over people who are on the enemy side. Because of his personal attachment and his fear of emotional difficulty later, his judgment got clouded. He lost track of why he is here. What they call nowadays in psychology as SQ, spiritual quotient. So Arjuna lost track of that, and Krishna wakes him up to his error and reminds him of his dharma and says, a person should first be dedicated to dharma and not to the result. Karmanyevadikaraste ma based on a common good that There is an entire shloka in Bhagavad Gita. It talks about how the judgment gets clouded. Dhyayate vishayan pumsaha sankasteshopajayate. Dhyayate vishayan pumsaha. When a person keeps repeatedly thinking about the objects of enjoyment, or keeps thinking about getting rid of the objects of suffering, both are same. Okay, psychologically it is the same. Then one gets attached to that experience. Sangasteshopajayate. Then from there comes desire. When the desire is thwarted, it becomes anger. Sangat sanjayate kamaha. Kamat krodha vijayate. Then with the anger comes krodhat bhavati sammogaha. Comes delusion, confusion, not seeing the right thing. And because of that confusion, mohat smriti vibhramaha. You are not able to connect the right thing to the right thing. What I have a lot of data in my head, but I am not able to connect the data in a meaningful way that is connected to what is right. So I mess up the interpretation of the information in my head. Mohat smriti vibhramaha. Smriti vibhramat buddhi nashaha. When I mess up my memory, or when I mess up my correct recollection of what is relevant and what is not relevant, when I mess up that sense of what is relevant and what is not relevant, my judgment falters. Buddhinashaha. Buddhinashat pranashyati. When my judgment falters and it takes me on the wrong way, and I lose myself in the long line of action, and it takes me away from my true self. Buddhinashat pranashyati. The individual is lost. So if somebody is, no, we say there was this one movie, Saint Bernard, one movie. In that, she says, what is evil? She says, love of sin. They're telling in their language here, whatever is wrong, I know it's wrong, it's not healthy. I like it. Why do I like it? Because I have lost my intellect in by living in an adharmic way for so many lives. There are people who are born, they are born as a psycho. They are born as a. Not all kids are equal. Not all kids are born by birth. Your fundamental nature is decided. Daivashura Sampat Vibhaga Yoga. If you see that, I think 16th chapter in Bhagavad Gita very clearly mentions, the scriptures are very clear, the saints and sages are very clear, the yogis are very clear, and this is also what I consider to be true. The fundamental nature of a person, the way their thinking will work, one is already born with. You can help to some extent with the environment, but certain very deep-seated traits one is already born with, based on one's astral body that one inherits from the past life, that is responsible for the current life, that decides what kind of parents you get, what kind of fundamental attitude you get. So only so much is possible to work with the person. Of course, we can get the best result out of it. If the person is very evil natured, then we can minimize the negative impact that person might have on society by putting the person in the right context and everything, and to containing that thing some action possible. But the fundamental nature of the person cannot be changed. So that is why in Veda, in the Vedic Dharma, the Dharma that is given by the Vedic principles, it has what is called as Adhikari Bheda, distinguishing the people based on their innermost aptitude. We distinguish the people based on their innermost aptitude. That is a very defining aspect of Sanatana Dharma, what you call as Hinduism, Sanatana Vaidika Dharma. The very defining aspect of this is Adhikari Bheda, and this is very difficult to swallow for our modern ego. This Adhikari Bheda is Very difficult concept to understand and accept and swallow unless you have a sattvic attitude and good enough shraddha. One cannot understand it. It's a very profound concept, and that is why it is Hinduism is very difficult to understand because of this adhikari bheda, and all the confusions are there because people are not ready to accept the concept of adhikari bheda. So this adhikari bheda is the crux of Sanatana Vaidika Dharma. So that every person gets what is best for them. You have to customize the dharma for a person. The dharmic principle is like an ocean of possibilities. I will have to customize it and make it relevant for the individual. That is the job of the tradition, of the acharyas, of the teacher, of the environment, of the culture, of the society. So the whole society was geared up for that. So now that the society is not gone, we are now left to a few teachings like this and to our own self, and with a group of well-meaning friends, we can probably arrive with the satsanga and everything. We can arrive at the clarity about it. So this adhikari bheda is under. It is very very important to understand what is my dharma. Unless I understand what is my dharma, it is impossible for me to arrive at nishkamya karma. So, how I arrive at nishkamya karma step by step by the understanding of what is the most relevant swadharma. By understanding my swadharma and the relationship of my understanding of my swadharma, my own individual dharma, what is the most apt dharma for me in a given context? That clarity. Who am I is very important. Who am I as an individual in terms of my dharmic aptitude, APT, aptitude. Understanding my dharmic aptitude is very, very important to arrive at Nishkamya Karma. All categories of people are eligible for moksha, but not all categories of people are eligible for all kinds of actions. Some actions are okay for one person, the same action is not okay for another person. That is where the individual dharmic aptitude, adhikaritvam, that connects one to one's swadharma becomes relevant. Hold on. Election time. Right? So we will continue this discussion. It is extremely important, fundamental for further discussion on Nishkamya Karma and Karma Yoga, and from there going to Upasana. So Karma Yoga and then Upasana, Karma, Nishkamya Karma, Karma Yoga, Upasana, Jnana. So this is the ladder of progress. We will continue the discussion on this in the next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tatsate. Thank you. Any questions you can make